Attorney Bederow has a number of items as well.
Mr. Bederow.
Thank you, Judge.
Honestly, go fuck yourself, sir. You don't say that, okay? You don't lose a trial where a jury acquits someone and finds overwhelmingly not guilty and say, I gave my sincere obligation to look into this, and I'm telling you all I saw when she's guilty. Again, respectfully, go fuck yourself.
Swear again like that. That was, no, I mean, whatever. That was, I shouldn't have done that.
A few moments later.
You, as a prosecutor, have got to be out of your fucking mind.
Jimmy, look at those ears.
The ears don't bother me as much.
No, I don't trust a man. I don't trust a man with a lobe like that. No,
really,
not a fucking chance.
The mouth is butthole to me.
Very thin, paper thin.
The nose.
Oh, the nose.
The brow.
Well, listen, I will tell you though, I kind of like a fucked up nose on a guy.
I like a big old honker. I like a big nose.
Old nose. Give me that big bitch. You know,
yeah,
like, I'm into it.
Come over here, cluck cluck.
Yeah.
I see some chickens that went moving on up in my biz, cluck cluck. You gotta be with the kids, the kids, the kids, the kids, the kids, kids.
And I go, oop, clutch, clench, kegel. We did it all. And I go, oh, and what happened? And they go, well, we just got 4,000 plus pages, bitch. And I said, stop it. Show me it. Take me to Unimpound Town immediately, if not sooner. So what happens?
The bitch is here.
Why are you at a football game? Are you a Fonz correspondent?
Well, no, because it's only for men over 30. Okay? Have a great night, boys. Fuck off.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
Hey, Blues Clues, motherfucker.
Good morning, lovies. Happy Sunday, January 18th, 2026. And we are gathered here today for this Sunday service with the one and only Mr. Bederow to discuss all things Commonwealth related, to discuss our love of the New England Patriots and the heartbreak of the Bills Mafia, and wherever else the spirit may move us today. I thank you for joining us. I thank you for waiting approximately 2 extra minutes because I am late. And also, I am very undercaffeinated today. But without further ado, let us bring in the man we are here for, the man who starts our week off as plentiful and joyful as possible, the one and only attorney, Mr. Bederow. Good morning, Mr. Bederow.
Good morning.
First of all, did we plan a white scheme today? No. But
No.
that jersey, you've got Super Bowls to win. Tell me everything.
It's the last home game of the year. There's a Super Bowl looming, and we need winners. So we need Ty Law out. So he came out of the closet today. Here we are.
A little throwback, if you will, to our tie days. So today we have the last home game, and then in a shocking twist of events, we learned that the QB for the Broncos is out on an injury, like a mysterious injury of unknown origin. And if we were to win, then it would probably be, I don't know, the best path to the Super Bowl that was ever possibly laid.
He got hurt apparently and fractured his ankle on the second to last play where they kind of moved the ball to set up the game-winning field goal. I mean, it's just one of those abnormalities, but the reality is they still have to win today or it doesn't matter. But if the Patriots get through today and they go to Denver and the quarterback is Jared Stidham, who used to be on the Patriots. I don't know if you know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He was. He played a few here and there. He has not thrown an NFL pass apparently in more than a year, all season. And I'm pretty sure I saw from the stands his NFL debut. And if I recall correctly, it was maybe 5 years ago. My son and I were in Foxborough, and it was your typical annual slaughter the Jets early season, nice weather game in Foxborough. At some point, Jared Stidham entered the game and he threw a touchdown on his first NFL pass attempt. The problem was he threw a touchdown to the Jets on a pick six interception for his first pass attempt, as far as I recall, in the NFL. But if that's the quarterback they're facing, assuming they get there, as good as Denver is on the defensive end, as good as they are at home, it would be a crime against football if the Patriots go to Denver next week, assuming they're relatively healthy, and don't finish what needs to be really would be a capping on just an improbable season. But they have a tough game today, but apparently it's going to be a snow game. So that's actually very interesting. You know, Houston, they don't play in cold weather. They don't play in the elements that much. They practice in Texas. You know, it's a little different. And also, they are probably the best defense in the NFL, certainly amongst the fastest. And nothing helps, neutralizing a good defense than snowy elements. It slows you down, and it's an advantage to the team that knows where the ball's going and where things are moving, as opposed to the defensive guys who have to kind of react. So who knows? Maybe the cards are lining up here for just a Patriots Seahawks, maybe. I don't know, or another one of those Super Bowl. I want a Patriots Bears Super Bowl. That to me would be the best matchup. I think that'd be the most fun matchup, and that's what I'd love to see.
I would like a Patriots Bears. Why? Because of Mr. Mata. He is a Bears fan, and I am a fan of his. I also would want a Patriots Bears because of Big Cat. And that's just, he's a bar, whatever. And he also really loves them. And I really love that he loses to the Patriots. And that brings me joy for Dave Portnoy. So that I would really enjoy that as well. But a Seahawks actually gives me a little bit of, for whatever reason, a little agita, because don't we have am I mistaken when I think that, was there a Seahawks did we lose to the Seahawks in the 2000s ever?
Well, they beat the Seahawks in that incredible Butler Super Bowl. The incredible, go Malcolm. So
Tush push.
Yeah. No, not tush push. Incredible interception on the goal.
Oh,
yeah. No, that was an incredible game. That game was just an absolutely incredible game. So no, they beat the Seahawks. They've obviously beaten the Rams twice in the Super Bowl. They were annihilated by the Bears, and in the '85 season. And who's left? Who am I missing? Well, nothing. Seattle, Rams, Bears. That would be it at this point. So they played them all before, but I
think that would be the best matchup. But yesterday we have a kinship, and we know this, right? To the Bills Mafia. I don't know why. Is it the blue collar? Is it our love of the game above all? Is it I just enjoy the entire vibe of Bills Mafia? I don't know, but I have a kinship to them, and I root. If it's not for the Patriots, I'm rooting for the Bills, and that's just how the cookie has always crumbled.
I feel bad. Maybe the relationship was similar to pre-2004 Red Sox fans, where just the lovable losers, although that was more the Cubs and the Red Sox. The Red Sox were bitter, angry losers back until the world changed in 2004. But, the Bills, it's Buffalo, right? There's really not much going on there other than sports and food. They love their team. They love the Bills as much as anyone does. To go to 4 Super Bowls in a row and lose in progressively worse fashion, a terrible, wide right missed field goal to win the Super Bowl, followed by getting slaughtered 3 years in a row, worse and worse, and then disappearing for all these years. And then now they've been, ever since the Patriots lost Brady, they had that window. I mean, it was there for the taking, and it appears that they just never got there. I mean, they didn't even get to a conference championship game. It's unbelievable. And their window, I don't know if it's literally snapped shut, but it's on the way down, if not gone. They have salary cap hell coming up. The Patriots are clearly ascending. And, they always talk about Josh Allen. And this was a year in which there was no Patrick Mahomes to get through, who's kind of been his in the playoffs. There was no Joe Burrow. I mean, all of the, so-called great quarterbacks that would stand in his way and prevent him from getting there. They weren't there this year. And they still lose in just heartbreaking fashion. And it's just hard not to feel bad for them. I don't find it funny. I do feel bad for Bills fans because they are some of the most loyal, dedicated, even the meatheads who, break through tables and throw things and whatever.
I love that.
I mean, very few fan bases or teams, I think, identify with a city as much as the blue collar Bills do.
Yeah.
With Buffalo, which is just the quintessential blue collar Rust Belt type of city. And I don't know. I feel I would have preferred that the Bills fans suffer with an excruciating, terrible loss in Foxborough next weekend, but it wasn't meant to be. So sorry.
And I know that there was a lot of chatter about Josh Allen and him crying at the end. Also, an amazing "Do Your Job" mug. Look at us, just bringing it all together today. 10 out of 10, Mr. Bederow.
It's game day. Eye of the tiger. Focus. Laser focused, right?
Laser focus. So, but after when I'm hearing him in the in the post conference with the media, and yeah, he got emotional. Don't call him soft. Leave him alone. It is I think that maybe it's that culmination of that a realization is the window closing, and him saying that there were missed opportunities all game. And, he's not going to be there for how much longer. So I think that it's a lot of things that at the end of a hard fought season.
I can't imagine why anybody would criticize Josh Allen for getting emotional. I'm not the biggest Josh Allen fan in the world, to be honest with you. Bo Nix's broken ankle aside, I had said yesterday that their Patriots would probably be better off going to Denver, even with a healthy quarterback, than playing at home against Buffalo, just because Josh Allen is, worried me. And he never did break through. He's 30 or close to 30. He's getting up there. He still has a while to go. But the people around him are not going to be as good. But I mean, I don't know who the hell are we to criticize a professional athlete who's out there, dedicating his life to this, and they came up short. It's the ultimate competition. They lost in heartbreaking fashion. They have the burden again of this whole city and civic pride on their shoulders. And he did not have a good game. Which I'm sure is weighing on him. His, all those turnovers, and let's be honest, that turnover before the first half has got to be one of the worst unnecessary turnovers in NFL playoff history. That's the kind of thing that gets a coach fired. I mean, you take a knee unless you have enough time to make something happen. You don't run around like a lunatic, fumble, and gift Denver the 3 points at the end of the half, which they did, which ultimately, they lost by 3 points. Do the math.
Mm-hmm.
But so he had a terrible game. He's the league MVP last year. Probably didn't deserve it, but that's neither here nor there. But I mean, who the hell are we to criticize him for being emotional, for leaving it all out there and coming up short? I mean, he's a competitive professional athlete. He's a winner. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he's not any less of a man because he was emotional. I think that's ridiculous.
I 110% agree. And I just think that it shows your passion and your love for the team and for the game and for your city and it's your city. And I think that's where, who am I?
And the guys in the locker room. I mean, they play for each other, and he's the leader, and the leader feels like he didn't deliver. I mean, that's a lot of burden. I mean, look, in the grand scheme of life, it's not that important. I mean, he's a multimillionaire. He's going to be fine, but this is his occupation. and he didn't have a good day, and he feels like he let everyone down, so he's upset. I mean, I don't think that's controversial. I think that's makes him a human being and makes him relatable. I mean, I get it.
I agree. And I think that like also it just still shows that not the misogyny, yeah, kind of the misogyny of like of men towards men still in 2026 of like you can't feel feelings. You're not allowed to feel feelings like that the joy or whatever it's called, the joy of winning and the heartbreak of defeat. You have all of those emotions, and if it comes out, he wasn't sitting there like, whimpering about it. I just think that he was able to articulate himself, and it got the best of him. And I felt my heart broke for him. My heart breaks for Bills Mafia, and it's just, I like to say maybe next year, but everything is up. Everything is up for grabs now because of the caps, right?
Here's the real talk for the Bills fans, and I'm sorry, but facts are facts. You're cooked. You're done. The AFC East took a 5-year vacation, but it's clearly, barring catastrophic circumstances, knock on wood, that something happens to Drake May or whatnot, you're cooked. The Patriots are going to run that division pending other crazy drafts by other teams for another 10 years. It's just, sorry, Bills fans. They had the chance. They didn't get through it. And they've lost historically in just excruciating fashion. It's terrible. You hate when games come down to officiating. Now, the Bills played look, Josh Allen did not play well yesterday. So, you can't just say it's the referee's fault.
Right.
To be clear, the critical pass interference at the end of the game, which essentially was the end of the game, that was absolutely pass interference. Okay. Let's be honest, Bills fans, that you can't tackle the guy and wrap up a hand when the ball's in the air, and the fact that it was at the 5-yard line and it's going to impact the game. Yeah, that's unfortunate. The problem is earlier, there was a play in the end zone where I'm not sure how that wasn't pass interference, where Brandon Cooks had his arm pulled. I think the ball was still catchable under NFL rules. That would have been a pass interference in the end zone. That would have been game over for Buffalo. The interception play is, the rule. We all know what the rule is. You have to survive the ground, whatever that means. That was the most ridiculous rule play. And that was clearly a catch by Cooks.
Yeah.
And spare me the survive the ground, and he pulled it out. I mean, the offensive player catches the ball. He's down. His knee is down. He's down by contact, and he rolls over a foot, and somehow in the rolling process, the guy just yanks it out of his hand. If that's the rule, so be it, but change the rule, because there is no world in which that ball should have gone to Denver. Sorry. I look, every referee analyst that they've had on has said that was an interception, in full disclosure, and they would know better than we would. But that is just a terrible optic. It's stupid.
Yeah.
And that clearly was a completed pass in the way we all watch and understand.
Yes,
football.
Absolutely. I 110% agree. So we just wanted to take a moment and pray to Tiny Mary and Tiny Jesus in the boom for our Bills Mafia fans. Okay. We love you guys. Sorry, that sucked. I would have liked, just like you said, Mr. Bederow, we would have liked to see you lose next week. Not the way it happened, but our thoughts are with you. That sucked.
Yeah.
Okay, so today, what are your predictions? Give it to me. Say what is happening. We are winning by how much? Anyone who's doing their DraftKings bets, let's get Mr. Bederow's picks.
I don't know. This is a tough one to pick. Again, the weather is a real issue. And I mean, I don't study this. I saw something online yesterday. What are they expecting? Like 3 to 5 inches during the game? Again, I think that slows down the defense. Could be a run heavy type of day, which the Patriots have 2 running backs. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go ahead and say 24-21, New England Patriots advancing to Denver for the AFC Championship next Sunday.
Okay.
24-21.
All right, I love that. I don't have a pick. I know it's going to be. I just say Patriot. I would like okay, score. Let me go. Okay, I'm going to say 35.
No,
You don't think it's going to go to 35? Not a
too much
chance.
weather. No, I mean, weather
They're
makes
doing
everything,
so good in the weather.
everything's crazy. There's turnovers. They slip. The ball comes out. They can't throw it. I mean, the weather is a real, real wild card. I mean, the idea that 5 touchdowns against that defense in the
Okay,
weather.
okay, I'm taking it back. I'm going to 4. Okay, I'll say 28. I'm doing one. All right, I'm doing 28 to 24 Pats. Okay, that's what I'm going with. 8 and 4. All right,
Okay.
lovies, have that's our picks. If we lose, it is what it is because we're not actually betting them. I might, but so as we rock and roll into some legal topics now, we are prepared. There was a Sir reply that had me particularly out of my mind, from whom one Mr. Michael Proctor, formerly known
Okay.
as Trooper Michael Proctor, now known as disgraced former Trooper Michael Proctor, in a 25-page rebuttal. And in this 25-page rebuttal to the Karen Reed civil suit, this is like Karen versus everyone suit, right? This isn't the House defendants. This is the Karen suit. Okay, noted. So it is answer and jury demand of the defendant, Michael Proctor. There was a 25-page response, and he goes through one by one. I know that you haven't read this in detail, but I'm going to bring up the points that shocked me and gave me I got a little verklempt. I clutched the pearls. Do you know overall or in general anything that was said, Mr. Bederow, in this?
Not really. Full
Okay.
disclosure, I have not read this. I mean, I've heard 1 or 2 people allude to it.
Mhm.
So I haven't read that. I have not watched Rotten Mango. I have not watched Lifetime. I mean, again, I'm familiar with what people say, but I really am not up to date. But if there are certain parts of the filing,
Yeah.
we can certainly discuss it. But I have very limited familiarity with it as it stands right now.
Do you think you will watch I can't see you watching the Lifetime, but do you think you would watch the Rotten Mango interview?
Yeah, no, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, that's real.
Yeah.
Lifetime is not real, and I just, to me, over dramatization of cramming it into an hour is not interesting. I mean, when I have time
Yeah.
or the ability to, I would watch the interview on YouTube that has millions of views or whatever it is.
Yes.
It's really just a time budgeting thing. So yeah, I'm not opposed to watching that. The Lifetime, I have zero interest in. The interview of Karen, I think, sounds very interesting. It's just
It was great.
it's just a time issue of seeing it. So I haven't seen it, but yeah, I would watch that, of course.
Of course. Oh, awesome. So, there. Okay, so do. Okay, I want to start with the injuries because I can't believe. Well, we got. All right, this is page 2. I mean, we're coming out hot out the gate. So, I do want to say that it is the answer of the jury demand. Plaintiff's complaint fails to state a claim against the defendant, Michael Proctor, hereinafter Proctor, which relief can be granted and therefore must be dismissed. Do they say that in everything?
Yes, I mean
Okay.
that's boilerplate. I mean, I'm sure that was taken from a prior motion and just cut and
Copy and
paste.
pasted.
Yeah, I would not read into that. I mean,
Okay.
what people
But
do
it's
respond to
right.
the law.
So number 3, so there was like a billion points, but it says the allegations in this paragraph, which are going back to her paragraph, but are introductory in nature and therefore no response required. To the extent that response is required, it is admitted that Proctor grew up and resides in Canton, Mass, and that Brian Albert was a Boston police officer and that Brian Higgins was an ATF agent. As to the remaining allegations, they are denied, saying that should I read into, because Brian, no.
No, you have to admit or deny facts.
Mhm.
Obviously, some facts are not really in dispute and don't matter. I lived in Canton. This person was a police officer. So, they're saying that whatever is just background and fluffery and not an allegation is introductory, so we don't have to respond to that. But to the extent that there are allegations that require admitting or denying, okay, I grew up in Canton, I worked for the police, Brian Albert was a cop, and yes, so was Higgins. So I admit that, and anything else we just deny. But again, this is all standard. I mean, I don't find this part yet in the least bit interesting.
Well, I was just saying because he said was an ATF agent, not is an ATF agent.
That could be worth reading into. It could be poor writing, in terms of past and present. But even if Higgins does not work for the ATF now, I mean, I don't find that earth-shattering either in light of everything else. But I have no idea whether he's still employed or not.
See, I do find that because I knew he was on desk duty, and and that was prior to trial too. But if you are no longer employed, that's another one bites the dust.
Could be, but again, is he? Lawyers write in different ways, and I don't know if that was versus is
truth.
It's just the way the lawyer framed it, or whether that has specific meaning. I don't even know.
Okay. So then injuries to Mr. O'Keefe, the point number 4, it says Mr. O'Keefe had bruises and lacerations on his face, a deep gash to the back of his head, and scratches on his right arm, forearm. Denied that there was an unwritten rule of protecting their own. As to remaining allegations, Proctor is without knowledge or information sufficient to form a belief. Denied that there was an unwritten rule of protecting their own by police officers in general.
Well, what is he supposed to do? Say, I admit that I'm corrupt and framed Karen? I mean, so you deny it. I mean, I don't. This is
you deny it. Okay.
I mean, he's not going to say, you got me, I'm corrupt. There's this unwritten rule where we're going to pin it on the girl. I mean, this is, again, I don't know what else is in this filing, but this is not dramatic stuff. This is typical, allegations are made by a plaintiff and a defendant denies, generally, unless there are certain cases where you may admit the conduct and say it wasn't illegal. But they're accusing Proctor of being corrupt. They're accusing him of intentionally violating her civil rights. He's not going to say, you got me, you're right, I'm this corrupt piece of garbage, and what do I do now? I mean, this is, I mean, I don't want to, ruin what we're doing here, but this is like standard. Boring.
Well, do you think it's normal for him to say to the allegations in the paragraph for Proctor sent texts which speak for themselves? That's what his. It says the allegations in this paragraph, introductory in nature, no response is required. To the extent that a response is required, it is admitted that Proctor sent texts which speak for themselves.
Yeah, because again, what is he supposed to say? That I did not call her a whack job this. I did not say, I hope she offs herself. I mean, I give the lawyer credit. That's at least being remotely credible. I mean, he's basically saying he sent the text. What do you want me to say? I mean, the texts say what they say. I have no magic argument to say that some alien came down and took Michael Proctor's phone and sent those messages. That again, there are certain facts that are beyond the ability to even remotely deny. This goes into also that famous expression, admit what you must, deny what you can.
Yeah.
You can't deny the text, but when you talk about there was this agreement to frame her, there's no literal proof of that. There's no audio recording of them saying that. There's no evidence of them huddling around and doing that. So they say, double dog dare you to prove that. But as far as the text, there's nothing they can say. I mean, it is what it is. So admit what you must, you deny what you can. That's all he's doing.
Okay. I love it. Okay. So then we'll go into, I'm reading into this then too much because I get it. Deny the Proctor.
If there's anything interesting in it.
Well, okay, but there is. I'm going to get there. Just let me, let me, I get excited. I want to hear. I'm excited. Okay. So denied that Proctor shielded the House defendants by intentionally sidestepping fundamental investigatory procedures. Is that Lola?
Where?
Is that Lola? Is
Where
anyone
Lola?
here? Oh, go get her.
Lola's on the couch off camera. Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure my girl is good. But okay, so don't take into anything that he didn't, but he may have unintentionally sidestepped fundamental investigatory process. No?
Well, they're suing him for intentionally violating Karen's civil rights. So,
But that's not the well, okay.
So he's saying I did not intend to screw her over. But if I'm an incompetent dolt and I miss things investigatively, then it wasn't on purpose. And sorry. I mean, again, that this is a lawyer structured answer where he's clearly they have to admit certain things, but they cannot admit, yes, I intentionally violated her civil rights. I mean, this is not dramatic stuff.
Okay, so it is admitted that Proctor did not search the house for blood evidence, fingerprints, or DNA evidence. Admitted that O'Keefe was found without a coat, hat, and one shoe.
These are provable facts from trial. I mean, he's not really adding anything that we didn't already know from watching 2 trials.
That's true. Then I don't care about anything on page 3, right? No. Okay. To the legal Proctor admits he was terminated by Massachusetts State Police, which we know because that is true. Yeah, the allegations to the extent that were required. No, that's not it. I want to go to the one where he's talking about it. The parties, I don't care about that. I needed to care about no, I don't know.
Specific allegations about taillight or things that happened in the case, or about purposefully mistiming a report in which they took the car. That would be much more interesting to see what, if anything, they say about that.
Okay, we're getting there. We're already on page 8. I'm going. Investigation begins. Okay, admitted that Canton Police Department were the first law enforcement officers to the scene. As to remaining allegations, he's without insufficient knowledge, whatever. Proctor was without knowledge to the truth of this. Okay, to the assertion. Now let's go to Proctor leads MSP investigation despite conflicts. That's just like whatever it says. Admitted that Proctor was assigned as the case officer and that Buchanan and Tully were supervisors at the Norfolk County State Police Detective Unit. Proctor denies he engaged in misconduct. Interesting. He's doubled down. I'm just saying. As to the remaining allegations, he denied it.
I violated her rights. I mean, look, as far as him admitting, what did he say? That I was the case investigator, or whatever the word they used?
Yeah.
There is no dispute that Michael Proctor was the lead investigator. And if anything else, the value in that statement is it makes Yuri Buchanan's testimony look even more disingenuous, misleading, and arguably deliberately false at the second trial, where he wanted to fight for hours over semantics of whether Proctor was the lead investigator. Of course he was. And by the way, that has been admitted by Proctor in many, many other settings, including sworn settings. So, but again, this case is not going to sink or swim because Buchanan was foolish and would not admit that his subordinate was the lead investigator when he clearly was.
Now let's get into the dribs and drabs. I think this is where it comes. This is number engaged. Oh wait, 57. No, wait. I thought I have to say about the tail. Not the tail light. Proctor admits he interviewed the McCabe. Oh, okay. Oh, I felt like this was important too, though, Mr. Bederow, that he admits he interviewed the McCabes and Brian Albert on January 29th at the McCabe home in Canton. Admits that he interviewed Nicole Albert, Brian Higgins, Chris Albert, and Julie Albert. But there was no other there were no other interviews that he conducted. And that's like, I know but he said that he did in trials. Do you know what I mean? He said that, like, yes, it was at different times, but now he's reducing whom he is stating he actually had interview contact with.
Well, I don't think
Yeah.
he's saying the only interviews I ever did. He's saying I did these specific interviews, but he's not saying to the exclusion of all other allegations that I.
But he didn't
interviewed
do
others.
that on the 29th. He only interviewed 3 people on the 29th. Not Brian Higgins, Chris Albert, and Julie Albert. They were not interviewed on the 29th. There was 3 people: Matt McCabe, Jen McCabe, and Brian Albert, period.
How does this matter in terms of him saying, yes, I interviewed those people? He's saying, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And you knew that in the trial, and you know that from documents that have been publicly released as part of the case.
It's nothing. Yeah. Okay.
I got to tell you that this is like really standard, uninteresting, ordinary, virtually boilerplate filing so far.
So far, we're getting there. Proctor, okay, he admitted that he Miss Reed's cell phone and her SUV were seized on the 29th. We knew that. Admitted that he texted his high school friends, or as I say, his 9 friends from first grade, on January 29th. Denied that MSP had not visited the crime scene.
He denied that MSP
had not visited the crime scene.
Well, they did. Again, is there a time allegation?
It's saying on January 29th in that same sentence.
Okay, so he's saying maybe somebody at some point that day went to the crime scene. He's not saying whether he did or didn't. In fact, his testimony, if I recall correctly, was that he didn't go to Albert's home in Canton on the day that this happened, I believe is what he claimed. And then there was that arguably sloppy report, whether it was Guarino or him or somebody said, he gave me the phone at the crime scene. And then these yahoos tried to claim, well, by crime scene, I meant like the precinct or something.
Right.
But again, this is not really important.
Okay, so admitted that Proctor applied for the search warrants to Stoughton District Court and Norfolk Superior District Court searches of Google electronic records, Ring video, Ms. Reed's phone, Ms. Reed's vehicle, and cell tower records. Okay, Proctor, we know that one. He retrieved the clothing from the hospital. Where is he? Denied that Proctor and Buchanan placed pieces of SUV taillight unclosed. Duh. Obviously, he has to do that.
He has to do that, but there you have it. I mean, but again, he has no choice. What's he going to say? You got me. I planted evidence. Now, what's for dinner? Can't do it.
Where's the Sallyport, though? I know I have Sallyport in here, and I was interested in it. So admitted that Proctor interviewed Brian Loughran, the town snowplow operator. Okay, interesting. Admitted that Proctor interviewed Brian Loughran. Oh, we know that one again. Proctor is without knowledge or sufficient. Okay, Kevin. Okay, admitted that Proctor and Kevin Albert traveled in Proctor's cruiser to Cape Cod. Jeez, Louisa May Alcott. I can't. And then
what he must and denying what he can, which happens.
He's doing it. He's doing it all. But where is it? I know that it says something that it goes. He's saying that for unknown reasons, he had this. He had requested the Sallyport video, and then didn't turn it over to the prosecution. That's what I found the most interesting.
Well, that's what the prosecutors said in their ludicrous response to Karen's motion to dismiss for extraordinary misconduct. They claimed that we had no idea and that Proctor kept the video essentially in his back pocket, which is, if that's what he's saying he did here, again, this is nothing that we didn't already know or what they've already argued. I find it hard to believe that the prosecutors themselves were unaware of the Sallyport video. I just find that ridiculous on its face, but that's their story and they're sticking to it, at least during Karen's criminal case.
Right. So, okay. So it all would be, okay. So it's just, okay. So I thought this was very interesting and apparently it is not. I'm foolish with it.
No, it's fine. I mean, there's nothing earth shattering here. At least, again, I haven't read it. So if something sticks out that I'm unaware of.
Lovies, did anything stick out to you? Lally never checked. Okay. So is there nothing, if we're looking at this, the meat and potatoes, the only thing that would be important, right? If there was accountability or admission, right, of anything regarding the like the footage from the Sally Port, and or maybe a timeline or Karen's Lexus. That's all that would matter, right?
I guess. I mean, it depends on how again, all he's doing is responding to allegations that were made. He's not looking to plead a case and convince everyone. He's in defensive mode. I have to admit, deny, or say I don't have enough information to give an answer. Those are the three possibilities when you answer a complaint. They're not looking to do anything other than hunker down and just kind of protect themselves. So what is he doing? He's admitting what he must and denying what he can. I mean, this is as ordinary civil practice boilerplate filing as you'll see. It just happens to be in a very interesting case.
Now, can I ask you, does it matter, or the buck stops with Lally no matter what, right? So no matter what Proctor did getting the Sally Port footage, and if he put it in his case file, and if all the like whatever BS malarkey that they said happened, it is still the prosecution's job to know what the investigator has done, correct?
Well, they're all considered the prosecution for purposes of
prosecutor. Yeah.
Karen's rights. I mean, the any police misconduct in a, like, for example, criminal case, when you do Brady type analysis, is imputed to the prosecutor. I mean, it's no defense for the prosecutors to say, well, the cops had it, well, we didn't know. That's what was so absurd about the DA's response to the motion to dismiss. Their attitude was, well, we didn't know, blame Proctor, which is more about protecting their own reputations than dealing with a serious legal issue. Now, and then the judge didn't even want to address any of this, and that was very unfortunate because that was a very serious allegation that should have been fleshed out with a hearing in court. But putting that aside, Lally's not a party to the lawsuit here. Prosecutors get all kinds of qualified immunity. It's very hard to sue them. Proctor is the defendant here. So whatever Lally should or should not have done may be relevant on some level, but that's not the issue here. Is if Proctor had the Sally Port video, if that video was exculpatory in the sense that it did not show what they claimed it did, if he knew that and he stuffed it in his back pocket and hid that from the prosecutor
for years,
and then allowed the DA to introduce, inverted video, if you will, and then was involved in allowing Buchanan to, what in my view was commit perjury at Karen's first trial about the inverted video and what he saw. Well, those are absolutely civil rights violations that you would argue against the state police. I mean, if they are doctoring evidence, they are intentionally testifying falsely. This may not be earth-shattering to most people, but to falsely give testimony with the intent to harm and convict someone is a violation of due process, even in Massachusetts. To tamper with evidence is a due process violation, and that would violate her civil rights and could lead to liability for them under 1983 liability, civil rights liability. So, but whatever Lally did or didn't do, although it may be relevant, Lally's not a defendant to the lawsuit. Now, Lally can help the prosecution, can help Karen's people, because Lally absolutely, I shouldn't say absolutely, I'm not involved with this lawsuit, but I would imagine Lally will be deposed by Karen. Brennan will be deposed by Karen, and McLaughlin, or whatever her name is, will be deposed, or should be, in my view, and they will ask them about what the hell is the story with this inverted video? Who knew what? How did it get here? And if you recall at the trial, when I think it was Alan was trying to get to the bottom of how this happened between Buchanan and Lally,
Mm-hmm.
Canone cut him off, would not allow him to examine Buchanan about the conversations that he and Lally had in prepping and going over the video. And that is insane. That was a totally appropriate line of questioning. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm sure
No, I
some of
remember
the
that.
lunatics will, clip this and tell me later. The point is, my recollection is she cut him off from this absolutely critical line of questioning,
Yeah.
which could have demonstrated that they were framing her and that Lally was suborning perjury and Buchanan and him were going over this and they had to have known. So, but these are questions that'll be addressed in civil depositions for all of them.
And Mr. Bederow, did you have a chance? I was going over the sidebars, right? And just seeing Judge Canone, I felt a little bit disappointed. Oh, not a little bit disappointed, but to see that there was so much kind of stepping in on her part and aiding how the conversations went at Lally specifically, and asking him if he was okay with this. Are you all right with this? Like, do you want to do you think that this is something we should do? I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked at sidebars of other trials before. I've never actually really cared about motions in limine and everything that I have, very much so in this case. But at sidebars, are you typically seeing, I know that our judges are they lean prosecution just innately, right? But the overt measures that Judge Beverly Canone took and things that she said to Adam Lally are just like blatant bias if you're looking at it just objectively. Like, why are you asking this prosecutor if he would like, what he is comfortable with, and then rule in his favor after asking him that specific question? You're leading him.
Well, first of all, I can't compare it to any other case because, although I've been a lawyer since 1998, I've never seen another case where it was trial by sidebar. I mean, I've not seen that. And if that's how they do it in Massachusetts, then others maybe can compare better than me. I've just never seen a case where it feels like there was as much time huddled around the bench as there was, in the well of the courtroom trying the case. Whatever. As far as the sidebars themselves, I did not read them. I am very familiar with certain ones that have been posted online or been discussed, but I did not. And I know there's even been some like role playing by people we all know.
Emily C. and Corey Hopkins, yes, did wonderful.
I haven't seen that, but I'm aware of it. I've seen clips like 30 seconds here and there. It's kind of funny, and I think they dressed up to do it. But, in any event, and I commented on some of the sidebars that I saw online. It is clear to me why many people would assume that there was an overt bias here at the bench. Right. As you're saying, talking about guiding Lally, soliciting his opinion, protecting him. It is entirely understandable to me why a lot of people would believe that. It is entirely appropriate, I think, and reasonable why people would say that this judge clearly did not like Alan. I mean, I think that's obvious from a lot of the interactions at the sidebar. It's just one of those things, and it's not a good look. But on the other hand, it's not really surprising because, I mean, how many people's opinions were changed? In other words, before you had the sidebars, all those people would have said, I think the judge was biased against the defense anyway. And all this does is reaffirm it and make you feel even more pissed off about what you were already pissed off about. But yeah, I don't think it's a good look. At least from what I saw at the sidebars,
it's wild to me. And unfortunately, Judge Beverly Canone, who is undoubtedly full of baloney at times, She has a qualified immunity, correct? Like she is like there's no way that there could be anything brought against her.
Judges do not get involved in lawsuits for making rulings, even rulings in which litigants disagree with. Okay. There would be absolute anarchy and chaos in the American judicial system. Okay. If you could just say, I hate this judge, so I'm going to drag them into this. Okay. Judges get immunity for judging. All right. Now, if you have evidence of a judge being on the take, and I am not, let's be very clear. I don't think in this case the judge was doing anything like that. You may disagree with her rulings. You may very reasonably find that, some of her rulings were bad. I agree with that. You may very well think that she was biased and slanted against the defense. I understand why a lot of people think that, but there's no evidence of corruption and that sort of thing. And you don't get to drag a judge into a lawsuit because you don't like what they did. Now, if you have evidence in another case of a judge taking payoffs to do this or do that, well, then now you're talking about things that are a little different. But whatever you think or whatever you like or don't like about Judge Cannoni, she's not going to be a part of this in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Judges don't get yanked for making rulings that people disagree with, even if you think they're biased against you.
And not even in the rulings, though, because I can say that, like, oh, that sucked, whatever that stung. Is there any way that if you are seeing maybe a pattern of I was suppressing things that other judges would have let in? No, that's still a no-go because it's her, like it's like she not shall rule, but she may rule. Like, do you know what I mean? Is it like that verbiage that like every judge is different? Some judges, we all know, lovies, that you will have judges that your attorneys, you're like, oh, you want to go in front of Judge so-and-so because he's like a lovey and he has such a big heart or he is wonderful. And then there's other judges that you're like, oh, if he's in a bad mood, it's, that you're at the will of a judge, right? Like their will is done there, although within the realm of confines of the law, but you know who you're going to have a better chance with or not. If there was something that you could say, though, was a pattern of suppression or a pattern of when you're looking at the sidebars in totality, where it's like, okay, would any reasonable judge have made all of those decisions or no?
Look, judges are people, right?
Yes.
So they have biases, they have personalities.
Yep.
And the reality is the way the system works in 50 states and the federal districts in America is you draw a judge and lawyers have opinions of judges. Judges, like lawyers and anyone else, have reputations or are known for this or that.
Yeah.
But, and I always, use this terminology. I just go where they send me. All right. That as a lawyer and a litigant, that's the way it works. If you have a reason to try to recuse a judge, you can try to do that. Now, they did try to do it. And, there's a lot of risk in that because it gets denied, as in Karen's case.
Yeah.
And then what happens? Is she pissed off about it? Officially, any judge will say, I'm going to be fair. And you, as the viewer, can draw your own conclusion whether she was or wasn't. That's you're entitled to your own opinion about it. Many people think that was the line in the sand. That's where it all changed. That some people think they didn't like the case going Hollywood, and she didn't like. I have my little fiefdom in this quiet little closet courtroom in Dedham, Massachusetts, and I don't like being on court TV every day and being talked about all over the country. Whatever. That's the judge that they drew. They tried to boot her, didn't work. It was not a pleasant process for them. And you know what? The lawyers did what lawyers do. You go where they send you. You try the case. You try it professionally. You don't have to like where you are. You don't have to like the process. And you know what? They won. So more credit for plowing on, fighting through, and keeping their eye on the ball. And that's what lawyers have to do. You can privately stew, but at the end of the day, that's the judge. You deal with it. But she is going to have 0% to do with this lawsuit? Nothing.
Absolutely. And I saw that because I think a lot of levies were asking, but Val asked for the corruption for a judge. That would be like if you're on the take, like some sort of bribery or violation of civil rights, correct? Of a defendant.
Obviously, if a judge is taking bribes, and let's be again, we're talking in the hypothetical,
Hypothetical.
Judge John Doe. We're not talking about anyone related to anything doing anywhere. We're not even talking about Massachusetts. Any judge who bribes is a criminal and by definition would be corrupt. If rulings are being issued for non-judicious reasons, but out of literal bias or dislike or prejudice, that arguably would be corrupt. So yeah, judges, but just making a decision that is wrong on the law, and you don't agree with, does not translate without more to corruption. That's all.
Noted. Absolutely. So yeah, that just brought me to a place of thinking with back to the Proctor stuff, is that him responding to that, and then on the heels of, I don't know if you had a chance to read, but I did a stream yesterday on Howie Carr did an article about Marty Kraft.
I did read that.
Oh, talk to me. What are your thoughts? First of all, pistols and sex toys and PIs. Oh my! I said, oh, what are we doing?
Just as a columnist, I've liked Howie Carr for 100 years.
Yeah.
There's just, he's a columnist, he's opinionated, but he's also entertaining and funny, and he doesn't hold any punches. So yeah, in terms of just entertaining readers, he's good at that. As far as opinions about what he was saying about all these people, I don't have opinions other than this, everything surrounding the investigations and prosecutions of Karen Reed and all the orbiting satellites that have developed from that, all the orbiting personalities that are part of that. It's just a national embarrassment, and it just makes the Massachusetts legal system look like a complete joke. I don't know what to say. And as far as I don't know anything personally about this Kraft. I'm familiar with the allegations of this and that, but beyond that, you just read these articles and you just shake your head.
Well, so I ended up looking at the police reports because Joey Bag o' Donuts ended up actually providing it from Newburyport.
I read Howie Carr's article, and that's
okay. So listen. So let me tell you that. So we get the police report, and we're looking at exactly what happened. It is the exact time frame that Howie was describing. It was the day before 4th of July in 2025. This is recent. This is whatever. He loses his PI license. He's not renewed because of this. Okay. It's a big deal. But to realize that somebody has another, sorry, don't mean to be like man, but another Mass State Police, former or a Boston cop, whatever. He was a Boston cop. Forgive me, not Mass State Police. That had 21 pages of internal affairs investigations and often complaints from fellow cops. This is, you're looking at somebody who has, again, it was a good callback from Howie to say, he's skated, no chance she skates, but somehow he skated into his golden years, Mr. Bederow, and was never held accountable. He's been fired, but at the time, his Boston police commissioner was his father-in-law, and he gets his job back. Hello. Oh, and Michael Proctor says we don't protect our own. Number 4, there is no unwritten rule that we don't protect our own. You are full of shit up to your eyeballs, and he knows it. Wow. They are all wild wildly inappropriate.
I would tell you to go watch, a great movie with Jack Nicholson, Faye Dunaway, and John Huston. Chinatown, and that's what it is. This is the situations that get publicized as they occur in Massachusetts, particularly in this area of Massachusetts. Yeah, it's gross, it's embarrassing, and it leads to an overall lack of public confidence that the system works properly and fairly. And it what else can you say? But that's why you need journalists like Howie Carr, bringing it to the, you can only shed light on it and see, what changes. And, eventually there is change. I mean, Morrissey has taken a knee and put his sword down, and he's gone, will be gone. Whether that's because of this or he's just claiming I want to go, I don't know. But one has to assume that if the whole crazy investigation and certainly in my view probably corrupt investigation of Karen didn't occur in the way it did, that it would just be business as usual, run again unopposed, have my employees stuff money in my pocket and do what we want. But that's not the case, because certain people brought attention to this, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And the license to carry, like that I always find that interesting. And what is up with these freaking officers losing their guns or like leaving their guns? Like, okay, like, I mean, I don't know how you left your guns, like with like, on or around still sex toys or whatever, but like, that's your thing. But Proctor too, being like, yeah, can you just, did I leave my gun in your, like, are we that, have people become so desensitized to like actual firearms that you don't remember where you put yours? I don't know.
Look,
I can't get around that, really.
when you have a police officer who is so drunk carrying a loaded firearm that they lose it and don't know what they're doing, that raises serious issues about their fitness for duty, their maturity but I mean, obviously, we're talking about Michael Proctor. He's not qualified to be a police officer. He's, a misogynist. He didn't investigate this case properly. He probably lied about a lot of things at trial. He may very well have planted evidence. I think he did, or certainly was involved in that. He lost his firearm. He said and did God knows what that we're learning about some of these other cases. He talked openly about accepting gifts from people involved in an investigation to give to family members. He wished death
He
upon
admitted
a
that
suspect.
in his reply. He admitted what he had to.
Mocked suspects' physical condition. He shared investigative details with. Look, the guy is an embarrassment to the very honorable profession of police officers. So, I don't think we have to sit here and say, how could Proctor be a cop because he lost his gun? That's just one out of 37 reasons why he's not qualified or fit to be a police officer, and why he got terminated, and why he'll never, do anything in public service ever again, not even dog catcher.
Yeah, I was just saying with Kraft too, because he left his gun with the dildos. So I was just like, that is like, I'm like, what is up? Are we all like, listen, you thinking to yourself, hey, maybe it happens to one cop, but now I saw a police report of another cop who literally was like, the husband comes home, right? And he's like, oh, I haven't been there in 3 weeks. He had been away. He was just trying to pay the bills because him and his wife were getting a divorce. And allegedly he and I guess the wife was I don't know, and that actually made me very sad too, because initially I thought it was some sort of just like a little bit of a soiree or whatever that was happening, but to find out that this other person is redacted, but it did state that blank was in a treatment facility, and it's like, okay, so this person is in a treatment facility. The hubby comes home and he sees alarmingly a gun and all these toys that he's like, they're not mine. And he just wanted to call the police to say, hey, can you come here and, assess this? And then Marty Kraft, though, said that there was an accident. And that was very troubling when he had spoken to one of the Newburyport police officers. He said there was an accident and you can talk to my lawyer about it, but then never had his lawyer call. And it's like, you were talking about your firearm, an accident. This lady is now in some treatment facility somewhere. And like, I mean, and just telling everybody to go F themselves. Like, and he thought, yeah, there's nothing to see here. I don't have to talk to you about anything.
I mean, look, again, you can judge each individual cop on the merits, a former cop or private investigator, and draw your own conclusion. I did peek over to the screen. Apparently, I think I conflated Kevin Albert and Michael Proctor. Is that correct? It's not Michael Proctor who lost his gun. It was Kevin Albert in that incident that that Proctor testified at the first trial. So just that's a mistake. So there's plenty of other reasons to fire Proctor.
He was with Kevin Albert.
They're packing heat, which, again, you're supposed to be fit for duty at all times. But in all fairness, that apparently was not Proctor who lost his gun. That was Albert.
Thank you. I think we all, yeah. So it was Kevin that lost the gun and his badge, right? He was also said, put my badge in the mailbox or something too. Anywho, there was a lot to be desired. And maybe the biggest though at the end was that we find out that, that Brian Albert has opened his own, I guess, PI company called FIBA instead, not FIBA, because I'm from Massachusetts. You're a FIBA. No, FIBA. And he is in the same building as good old attorney Reddington, who is the attorney for Jennifer McCabe.
I don't read into that. First of all, I like Kevin Reddington.
I do too, oddly enough.
As an attorney, and real lawyers don't criticize other highly regarded lawyers based on clients they represent. So that the fact that, Brian Albert and Jennifer McCabe are essentially family. Not essentially, they are.
They are, yeah.
So one would imagine that they're all very close. That meaning Brian Albert and Jennifer McCabe and Kevin Reddington. So what? It's interesting to some people, I guess, that, the license is incorporated in the same office building as where Kevin's law office is. But my view on that is, so what? I don't want to be a buzzkill to what people read into everything. I don't see the big deal of that. They all know each other. I think it makes sense to me that, again, you can criticize Brian Albert all you want for whether he should be a private investigator, whether he should have a license. That's a different discussion for other people. I don't really care one way or the other. But if he does have an office and a license, and he just happens to share an office in the same building as his sister-in-law's lawyer and probably good friend, I don't know why that's interesting. Actually, that strikes me as like real world how people do things, I think, unless I'm missing something.
No, you're right. But I just think that I don't know why, but I was saying this yesterday, is like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon in this case is so mind-blowing to me. Like, I know, I always say nursing, small profession, right? Massachusetts nursing, even smaller. You never burn your bridges because you don't know who you could see at your next job or what pay, you know what I mean? Like, you just always, I don't know. It's just a very small pool. I get it. But it is so, the web and the interconnections in this case is mind-boggling to me. The overlap, like the fact that you are pulling apart layers of an intricate web, that it's like, wait a minute, are you shitting me that this person is like, friendly with this person that called this person, and on this day my ass called her ass, and I mean, like, for the love of God, I have never seen anything like the not incestual, but like the a way that it is just that there's everybody knows everybody. And I'm not talking Maybury. Okay. I'm not saying that like this is, we have 18 people in a town, for Christ's sake. This is 22,000 people live in friggin' Canton. Okay. Never mind in Norfolk County. I do not understand how literally everybody's like, yeah, so why is it weird that I know that, like, that I am close to this person, and I sent a text that day, and like I'm just like, it seems way out of bounds, or like way more prevalent rather in this case than anything else.
Well, it feels like Copland. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Canton is a town of what? I don't know, 30,000 people or whatever. It's not a small, it's not a large place, but it's not Mayberry, like you said.
Yeah.
It's a respectable, normal suburb of Boston. Everyone knows everyone. It's true. They all knew the cops. They all knew the state police. They're all from there. Most of the people, who are involved in this are quintessential townies. It's and that's never good. And that leads to problems, and it leads to kind of a case where there could be potential conflicts, or people get worried about close relationships. I mean, the cops who respond, they all know each other, and then they claim they're not involved. Then they claim that they're going to make the police department recuse itself, but they really do that?
Yeah.
None of this looks good. I mean, this is suburban Boston. It should not feel like Mississippi 50 years ago in terms of just how things are handled. But that's the public perception, is that it just felt incestuous, not in a literal sense. I mean, just in a metaphorical way, that there's just so many close relations and everybody knows everyone, and that's it is what it is, but it's not good. It doesn't help on many levels, like the way the state police would work, where they would always be embedded in that DA's office, and they all work with each other, and they eat lunch together every day, and they donate money to the DA, and they're all friends. These are breeding grounds for a form of corruption, a look the other way kind of corruption, a bias, institutional bias, that I don't want to criticize my good buddy kind of way. It's hard to do that. It's just kind of the culture of, the Norfolk County DA's office, the state police down there, on some level, the Canton police, the townies that are involved in this case. And it's a perfect storm of what you ended up with.
Suspicion. Sorry. Okay, go. Is it coffee time?
Yes.
Okay, we're doing it. It's our Zabar's non-sponsored coffee refill. If you have to do a tinkle, don't wait to sprinkle. Go get your Zabar's or number one. Okay, love your faces, babes. I'm gonna put on a little EDM in the morning. Mr. Bederow's favorite. Shake it. Don't break it. Oh, Mr. Bederow. He's taking a long ass coffee break. Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Hi. Did you get a nice full cup?
I did, but we're on bonus time. The pot is gone, so I made an espresso. But that takes, that's a little process. You gotta get the water.
Espresso.
That's why it takes a few minutes. Yeah, it's very frothy and foamy. Can you see? That's the espresso.
Oh, I can. Oh my God, you're gonna be cooking with gas right after that. You know, I was in Jersey City and a girl gave me a espresso with a little honey in it. I had never had a little honey in it. It was delicious.
When I have espresso, I like it just nothing. Get the full coffee-ish flavor right out of it. Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I like espresso like after a good
Me too.
old Italian meal, and just espresso, a little sambuca.
Little buca. It's my God. Oh, I like it. I knew it. That is the best. That really truly is. Yeah, so I totally agree with everything that you said. I did want to ask you, did you happen to see the Boston Magazine article with the Charlie the jury foreman trial 2?
I did not, but I did. I know I'm terrible. I've been.
My gosh, Mr. Bederow.
Believe it or not, I actually have a job. I know a lot of people don't think I do.
Hey, I do too.
I know I am familiar with it. Again, when I do my daily doom scroll, as my son calls it, or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm familiar that he gave an interview that it triggered a lot of people. I didn't look at it. I know he did it.
Oh, I didn't know it triggered a lot of people.
Well, I assume so online, right? I mean, there's still people.
Oh, well, yeah, the antis, yeah.
Karen is guilty, and newsflash, the jury case is over. But I don't know what he said specifically, so I'd be curious to know, and I would like to. I mean, a juror is always an interesting person to hear from after.
I loved it. He did so good. I just think he's great. So he said, I thought this one was interesting. He said, were there any aha moments? And he said, well, I'd say the biggest thing for me was the inverted Sally Port video of Karen Reed's car being brought into the garage as evidence. That was a real aha moment for me. For the defense, I was like, oh, now I see. Like, that I loved it. I love hearing.
Imagine if he saw it with the benefit of knowing that at a trial that occurred several months before, that the so-called lead investigating supervising sergeant testified with a straight face that this was an accurate portrayal of what it was, and actually identified himself and Proctor until it became clear that the defense was on to this game. And then amnesia took over. And I know some of that kind of came out of the second trial, but I mean, I'm not surprised that a juror would pay attention to that. That's a big issue. I would think that would be a big thing, as well as the police recovery of taillight over the course of 2 weeks or whatever it was. I mean, that is just
6 weeks.
Absolutely insane. And still to this day doesn't get enough attention that the police work was to let it reveal itself to them. Because in the real world, let me tell you what would have happened. Even if the cops missed the taillight initially, like the Canton police or whatever, the minute that they discovered fragments of taillight and believed that obviously this is coming from the Lexus and she's guilty, they would have stayed out there nonstop until they had every item of snow gone on that front yard and did a real search. And if you recall, the CERT guy basically said, well, after they found a couple pieces, you want us to come back in the morning? And what did Tully say? Nah, we're good.
Nope,
we're good.
We're good.
Don't worry.
You got it. We have enough.
This, believe it or not, is like one of those few facts, as much as it's been talked about. I don't think it was emphasized enough how ridiculous that was, that they would just say, we're good. And then when they would find more, that they would just say, well, we'll just keep driving by and pick up more. There is no credible police department anywhere else other than the Massachusetts State Police that would do that. I mean, that's just not, on its face, was not credible.
Yeah,
So
110%.
The juror talked about that. That would seem to me as much, if not more, as the inverted video, be very important.
Yeah, and he actually did say, well, I don't think he did speak specifically about that, but he said, did you and the rest of the jury think that there was someone else who could have done it? Right. So he said, I mean, I can't say, period. There was something else that happened to him. Like, so he's saying that as a declarative statement. We wanted to get into that part, trying to solve it, but that was not going to happen. I just made sure we stuck to the path so we didn't go down all these rabbit holes endlessly. It wasn't our job to solve the case. Our job was to look at the evidence and see if she was guilty of this crime.
Well, then
Charlie,
you raise your glass to this guy, because that is exactly what a juror is supposed to do. And then you give all appropriate kudos to the lawyers who picked the juror, because that is what you want. Okay, you want a juror who's going to follow the task at hand, which is to determine whether the defendant at the bar is proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt or not, and to avoid trying to solve every question, as interesting as it may be. The only thing that mattered, or should have mattered, and apparently did matter properly, according to this juror, was whether there was proof beyond a reasonable doubt of Karen doing it. And if there's a possibility that somebody else could have done it, that's reasonable doubt. End of discussion. What you don't need to do is then say, well, who? Well, who? Well, who? That's for another day, for another person to figure out. But that's exactly what you want a juror to say. And that should be reaffirming that they understood the task.
absolutely. And I mean, I have that benefit of the knowledge because of speaking with you and being so lucky to speak with you, and you reminding me all the time of like, well, that was not the jury's job. Like, you know what I mean, Kim? Like, but I just thought that was so beautifully put by him. He's a very impressive person. And then what was the shadiest, and there, of course, Boston Magazine is asking shady questions, but what was the shadiest thing to you? The Alberts selling the house, the deleted text, or the missing dog? And he said the dog was probably number 2. Number 1 was selling the house, your family house. Like, why? And you sold it for less than market value. What? Because I always said we were in that market. It's not like, of course, there is normal peaks and valleys in a housing market. However, at the time in which it was sold, it just was interesting. I thought so as well. But he says the other last thing that I loved was ultimately what made the murder and manslaughter charges not meet the burden of proof while the operating of under the influence charge did. Now, this was interesting to me because I was always like, geez, did the Commonwealth really spend $1 million+ to convict the most expensive OUI verdict that has ever been in our Commonwealth? And he said, well, if there was no collision, there's no manslaughter. No one felt there was any evidence of that.
That's always been what we've been talking about. Okay. The only way in which Karen could be criminally responsible for causing the death, or civilly, by the way, this problem doesn't disappear in the civil case. The burdens of proof are different. The legal, all that stuff is different, but this basic principle remains. Okay. If the evidence does not credibly establish that there was an impact between the SUV and John O'Keefe, then by default, she can't possibly be guilty of killing him, whether it be intentional murder or whether it be grossly reckless manslaughter, something of like that. Same thing in the civil case. So the fact that they focused on that means that they focused on what the defense was arguing, and what, the second time around, they really, really emphasized that the medical and engineering science not only created reasonable doubt, which is all they had to do about the impact, but the reality is, even though this is just analysis that's not relevant to the outcome of the trial, the evidence overwhelmingly supported that there was no collision as opposed to that there was. And, the taillight pieces, I get it. That's the strongest argument that the prosecution and the O'Keefes and all of those people will always argue. Obviously her taillight broke. Well, I don't think anybody disputes that her taillight broke. The problem they're going to have is
Correct. Yeah.
it doesn't appear to have broken naturally based upon the medical and engineering science. And the people who you're saying trust us when this was found logically are Proctor and Buchanan and Tully. Well, that's not exactly coming at this from a position of strength. So
Right. Well, and there was always so much, actually, interestingly enough, in the Lifetime movie, they did represent Trooper Joe Paul. And I was like, that's genius of them, though, because they had to pick the certain parts that were like the most, like, you could only tell so much in 2 hours, right? So for what it was,
telling.
I enjoyed it. But you had to have from trial one that Trooper Joe Paul got on that stand and said that, like, and they depicted Alan Jackson being like, so what you're saying is that this vehicle struck John O'Keefe at this amount, at 24.2 miles an hour, and he pirouetted and flew 30 feet. And then they have the Trooper Joe Paul character going, well, trying to get, something happened. And then Alan Jackson's like, yeah, what are you talking about? There were so many questions that were left by the accident reconstruction in trial one that we ended up with, the Hail Mary and the worst call that was probably made by DA Morrissey and Hank Brennan was to put all their eggs in the basket of Aperture and their Blue Man grouping.
No, the worst decision they make was to proceed at all because
amen. Yep,
because
amen.
They then try to fit the square peg into the round hole, and you end up with blue paint and cosplaying and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
but this is really at its core very simple. It's not about Google searches. I mean, that's very interesting, and the timing of the Google search is interesting. But when you get down to the criminal responsibility and indeed the civil responsibility, you can really streamline this. Okay, you had multiple engineers who were not hired by Karen indicate that in their opinion it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit on two levels. It doesn't fit on what happened to the car, and it doesn't fit on the damage that the human being suffered.
Yes.
And you add on top of that medical expert after medical expert who says this doesn't fit. You add at least one or two medical experts, presumably at a civil trial, who will testify about the dog issue and all of that. And then you say, what are they going to counter it with? It ain't going to be Judd Welcher, okay? I think it's safe to say that him and his, the guy who resume, you're not bringing them back, okay? And let's be honest, that was the best the DA could do, all right? Now, granted, they had a much higher burden of proof. That's true. The civil burden of proof is much lower. But ask yourself, based on the evidence in the criminal trial, if you just said, is it more likely or less likely that there was a proven collision between the car and John O'Keefe? I would say the evidence clearly establishes it's less likely. Okay. And that goes on. And again, the strongest evidence that the prosecution has, they can talk about triggering events and taillight pieces. That's all wonderful. Okay. You can't just dismiss it out of hand, but you're not going to get past the engineering and medical science, which is going to indicate that didn't happen. And you're going to have the albatross of Proctor wrapped around your neck. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the guy who found the taillight. Same with Buchanan. Okay. Same with, Chief Berkowitz, who had Coke bottle black glasses but could see taillight pieces from, lying on the street. They're not in a strong position here.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how it will all unfold because of the rules of civil, right? And allowing, like you're saying, with these depositions and with everything else that will be allowed in, and for everyone to have to go through this, I feel as though in order for, I'm still always on the side of, yeah,
Be cautious about one thing.
yeah,
Gloves generally come off in a civil deposition, meaning you're going to have to answer the questions unless there is a privilege objection or something like that. But that does not translate necessarily to admissible at trial. There would be a judge who could rule on an evidentiary question. So just because you get information out in a deposition, it doesn't follow that it may guaranteed be admissible at trial. But it comes out in the deposition, people hear about it. It allows them to develop other evidence. And if it does come in, it comes in. But there are rules of evidence. There is a judge who is a gatekeeper at a trial. And just because something is in a deposition transcript does not translate to being admissible at trial.
Thank you, Mr. Bederow. I need those. Yeah, obviously I need those clarifications because I think I would have put that together, but that's good to know out of the gate. Now, do you think that the witnesses, or not the witnesses, the experts that were used for the criminal case will be used in the civil case, but to a different extent, like the ones that weren't allowed in, for example, the FBI, Michael Easter, and all of those witnesses, maybe would they be used or no?
First of all, 100%, you're going to see the ARCA people.
Mhm.
You're going to see the medical doctors because
Posada. Yeah.
they completely kneecap a lot of the plaintiff's case against Karen.
Mhm.
And also help her case and her case. So yeah, you're going to
Mhm.
see them. Are they going to try to get in someone to criticize the investigation? Absolutely. And again, if you have the right expert, the idea that a jury could hear that they found a couple of pieces of taillight and then just said, we're done here. We don't need to come back. And then, oh, what a miracle. We just found it day after day after day, over the course of a couple of weeks. You can't estimate the impact that would have on a jury if they hear from a credentialed expert to say, that is not how law enforcement works, okay? Or talks about, all the other problems with this investigation, or why it's essential to go to the crime scene, why it's essential not to have institutional bias, why it's essential to prepare reports immediately, contemporaneously, not backdate them weeks and months later, why it's important to do all of these things, why a chain of custody log, you could go on and on. That stuff comes in. It's just not going to be good for the people who are trying to essentially pin this on Karen, civilly or criminally.
Agreed. I totally agree. Oh, yeah. So, and then has there been a ruling, or will there be, for camera for allowing the public to see the civil trial? I believe that they did say that they were going to request that, correct?
I don't know what they're doing or
TV.
not doing. I don't know what the court in Plymouth County or Bristol County or whichever ones they are is going to do. What I can tell you is this: any of this ends up in federal court, there's no cameras.
No cameras. Yeah.
No cameras in a federal district court, full stop. What happens in Plymouth or Bristol County, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. That totally makes sense. Now, finally, I did want to wrap up with, we have court next week, January 23rd, for one Aiden Carney. Will you be there?
Yeah.
Did we receive a reply from the Commonwealth?
No.
Is there anything that, so there is no update because there is no reply because there was not, it wasn't followed the date that it was supposed to be submitted by?
I'm not
You can't say that.
analyzing.
Yeah.
No, I'm just in a factual sense, no
Mhm.
reply received.
Okay.
I'm not reading into why or how or anything. The filings, as far as I understand, are complete. As I believe the court dictated on December 5th, by January 13th. There are, I mean, can look at the public docket.
Yeah.
We filed something in, I think, early January. There are no subsequent filings that I'm aware of.
Okay. Anything that is, there is nothing new because we've discussed it. So there is nothing that we will hear from that, or we will get that at 2:00 on the 23rd.
9 a.m.
Oh, 9 a.m. Just kidding. Wait, did it change? Was it 2:00 before?
I don't know if a time was actually set, but
Okay.
we were notified, that
Yep.
it's 9 a.m. But I don't
9 a.m.
I don't even know if I mean, in my calendar, I just had the date all day, which suggests, unless I missed it, that we didn't get a time initially.
Oh, okay. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I said 2:00 before, but all right, 9 a.m. 123.
In Boston, not Dedham.
Suffolk, right? Okay.
Yep.
Do you know if there's parking there? Like decent, like
Government-
good park?
Downtown, it's government center. There's,
Mm.
garages and whatnot. It's by
Mm.
City Hall. It's downtown Boston.
Mhm. Yeah, I was just wondering. Okay, so that is there. That is that. And are you arguing?
I am.
Wow. Okay. And finally, Mr. Bederow, was there anything else that we learned? Because the last time, or one of the times that we were talking, we had discussed, I thought that I saw an update for what they're calling the Epstein files. Is there anything that you saw that was noteworthy or newsworthy in the last week or so since that happened?
I mean, again, I have a specific interest in this that is limited to certain things. What I
Mhm.
can tell you is that 2 subpoenaed witnesses did not show up for their sworn, they had subpoenas to testify in front of the House
Mhm.
Oversight Committee. And it's been stated publicly that they intend to seek contempt proceedings against the Clintons for not showing up. The Clintons submitted letters. This is all public. They put it
Yeah.
on Twitter with comments disabled, of course. They put up letters saying, well, we're not going to do this, but we would testify publicly rather than in a private committee. And, that's for others to decide. But I would say 1,000% do it. Absolutely. Do it on public, put it on TV, let everyone in the world see, ask them the right questions, and then let's just wait and see what they say. Whether they tell the truth, whether they perjure themselves, or whether they, after all that, take the fifth. But, again, that's for the committee to decide in terms of contempt, and then it would go to the full House to vote, and then it would get referred to the Justice Department. There is precedent for people avoiding congressional subpoenas being held in contempt. Again, we don't want to make this political. That's not what, at least in my view, what it's not about. But as far as the rest of the Epstein stuff, the files that were supposed to have been released, which I'm going to have unique feelings about it for a lot of reasons. They are apparently have not been fully released. We're now a month later from the deadline, and that's not a good look. That looks, there's no real explanation for it. And that's not good because, if it's been ordered to be released with certain redactions, then the law is the law, and it's just people are losing confidence, and that's not good.
Yeah, and that's always the thing, is that with the time, right? When things are not followed by the deadlines that are set, it seems like a disrespect or a hiding of,
Well, it's
or
worse because a large segment of the population believes that the reason the files have not been released is to protect people who are charged with the responsibility of releasing the files. And whether that is true or not, the fact that a large percentage of the population believes that to be the case is not good. It's not healthy. And the longer it takes to release and redact them properly, I mean, let's just call it what it is. That doesn't look good. It makes people believe something, whether they're right or wrong, and just makes people believe that their government is corrupt. And it makes them want to turn it political. Well, if you're going to demand this for someone who has a D next to their name, then you need to do the same with someone that has an R next to their name. And I agree with that principle.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do this based on a political affiliation or what appears to be. All I can say is, again, I don't profess to know anything or everything. There's a certain interest, a very unique interest in a lot of people, certain people, and that's what I'm interested in. And what political affiliation they are or they are, I don't really care. I'm interested in certain things. So, and I find a lot of what's happening with subpoenas and whatever very interesting. That's all.
I totally agree. And there is something to be said, like, about the large swath of a population that is looking at this and saying, I told you so, or you're allowing to feed a narrative that, if untrue and unchecked, can lead to chaos and anarchy, right? Like, because if everybody is like, you're going to feed these, I'm not saying a conspiracy theory, but like, you're going to feed it by not doing your job. So follow the damn deadline, in my opinion. And I say that for all people, and all deadlines that are set for our legal system. Like, even in a case that you're close to, for Aiden Turtleboy Carney, and for Karen's case, like for I don't understand why everyone makes these dates as like they're so arbitrary and no one gives a shit, because that's wild to me. Like, why are you not responding? Why are you not producing what you are supposed to? It's weird. It's fucking weird, because if it's a suggestion, if it's just it's like ooh, I'd love it by the 20th, I'd love it by the 13th. And like, that's just, that is not firm. Then don't give a date at all. Say respond when you will.
Well, the problem with, again, what people call, the Epstein files, which is not a word I like or use because it's so much more complicated than what people think they're really asking. It's just, but that's neither here nor there. A federal law was passed mandating the disclosure of certain records, with certain exceptions. There are, open investigation exceptions and whatnot. But it's not that this is not important, but it's not just a judge saying, can we do this by this day? There is a federal law, bipartisan law, that was passed mandating the release of documents that clearly has not happened in a satisfactory way by the dictate of the law. And that just makes the people who are presently in power and the responsibility of complying and disclosing that law look bad.
Yes.
A large portion of the population, whatever percentage is, I don't know, believes that there's a reason they're doing that. Not saying it's true or untrue. I don't know. But the point is, it looks terrible. It makes people not trust the government. It makes people believe there's some kind of cover up. And it's just another example of, a lot of problems with people's confidence in government today, where, it's not good.
It's not good. It's not good. We're in a really, we're in a really highly divisive time in history, I feel, in our country, and I feel like the steps that realistically are taken in the next, I'd say, couple of years will determine like our actual foundation and future, and for our kids and for our grandkids and for everything. Like I don't understand why we are not able to find, like, I don't know, a common ground, do what you're supposed to do, not give a shit. Bad people are bad people, no matter like what is at the end of their name. If you're a Democrat or a Republican and you are a sexual you know, a criminal, I would like you to be held in account. I would like there to be justice for victims of assault and crimes. Now, does that make me an outlier, or has the radicalization on both sides become so loud, or that noise has become what each of us stand for? And like, where are the moderates? Where are us that like are the majority? I feel like we have to still be the silent majority, right? Or no? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, anytime I mention anything like this, I get the hate mail. You're either, a far right fascist or a left wing kook, both. I get them both. Or anytime I offer what I try to be a very careful, cautious, nuanced legal assessment of
Yeah,
what in Minnesota,
you
I
did
get
so
all
good.
attacks of, again, I'm apparently some right wing zealot ICE apologist because I said this is kind of a more complicated case than just what people want to call it.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know why. Maybe it's just because of people have keyboards and everything is online and everyone just has nothing better to do than attack everyone for anything and everything. I don't know. But I mean, we'd all be in a better place if you had trust in government, which I'm not saying you can trust the government with what's going on,
right. Yeah,
but if they followed the law and did what they're supposed to do, um, if people had faith and confidence in government, whether it's federal or state, then
hmm,
perhaps could trust these investigations to take place on what happened in Minnesota. But I don't think there's any real reason to trust the federal investigation or the Minnesota people. This is where we are. I mean, it's very problematic. And as far as people
sad.
want to see these files that are been ordered to be released in DC, and a month later they're not released, and there's no real explanation why, I can understand why people don't trust government. I mean, it's just they
There it
don't give you
is.
much reason to.
Yeah, and to build that, and we need to restore, right? Like it's like about restoring. I listen. I don't have any answers. I'm just a nurse. I'm just a mom. I'm just a Kim, and I don't know. But like, all we can do is try to. I think that we talk to each other, have those conversations. It starts with conversation, if nothing else, right? Is like us at least talking about it and not having our temperatures high all the time, Mr. Bederow. I think that that is able to be something good.
I do, but I also think it requires people not to just label as much. I mean, like, for
Mhm.
example, again, the facts have to come out, the investigations have to complete themselves about what happened in Minnesota and whether a certain individual agent was guilty of a crime or not. But I think when you start basically smearing any federal law enforcement officer as some boot stepping Nazi, whatever, that's not right. The same way, I don't think it's fair to say everyone in the Norfolk DA's office is no good. That's not true. Or every Mass State Trooper is bad who has any association with the people in Norfolk County. That's not true. And when you start generalizing like that, everybody just has their camp and opinion and wants to tell everyone how much they hate everyone. I don't know what that accomplishes, but you should at least look at everything with a little more nuance
Yeah.
individually, and whatever should happen should happen. I mean, if a crime was committed in Minnesota that resulted in a woman losing her life, then the guy should be punished. He shouldn't get a pass because he's law enforcement, but he shouldn't be persecuted because he's law enforcement too. Let it come out, and you can only just hope that the facts come out fairly and transparently. But you just don't trust these people on either side to do the right investigation. So it is troubling. You hope that they'll do it.
Yeah, you do. And it becomes just, I think, the more onus is on us as citizens, though, too, and us as individuals to push back if you are feeling like there isn't that transparency, right? Or that obvious, I don't know, just bias that we are seeing more and more. And like we've talked about previously, back in the olden days, you got the news. It was just the news. There was no, like, this is what happened. And that was it. Ted Brokaw, or, I don't know, even Chet and Natalie Curtis that was like, that was Massachusetts news legends. But you would just get the news.
I was Jack and Liz, not Chet and Natalie.
Well, listen, I don't even.
And of course, Bob Lobel Sports. I mean, come on. That was.
Oh, did you have a weatherman? Who was your weatherman?
Bruce Schwegler. He was he was part of that crew.
Harvey Leonard, okay.
Right. We were Channel 4. That our house. We watched.
Oh, ew. Okay. 4 or 5. I was 7. Okay. Yeah. Well, 5 too. No, I liked 5 because I like Chet and Natalie, but then Harvey Leonard was my nan. Like, oh my gosh, me and Nana. No one hit that precipitation bands like Harvey Leonard. He was my king. Okay. Tell me nothing. So
brought Bob Lobel, and the whole, like, why can't we get guys like that? I mean, come on. He was.
I love it. Oh gosh. Oh, that's funny. Top Skillings. Yeah. Krista Delcamp. Okay. She's new. Yeah. But Krista's now like, okay. You can't.
I'm so far gone. I don't even know who we're talking about now. Well, I'm dating myself.
Yeah. Well, no, you're not. You're good. But so, no, but that's interesting. I just know that all I want to do is have conversations with you. You make Sundays better for me. And that I think that like you're saying, the conversation, watching these agencies, keeping an open mind into investigations and to allowing things to play out is key. But also then there is that holding of account, and not the broad strokes of labeling others, the broad strokes of everybody being placed into certain boxes. It gets us nowhere because life is in the gray, lovies. And you all know that, like, right? Everything is not black and white. We can't all be. Yeah.
You're right. And part of it, I think, is just the reality of, like, the world of social media. Okay. Everything is a hot take and a soundbite. But also, let's be honest. The people who are primarily responsible for creating the narrative and creating everybody yelling at each other online are the irresponsible politicians. And there's no monopoly on that. I mean, it's not helpful, on the one hand, that you have high-level federal officials out of the gate talking about an act of domestic terrorism and absolute innocence, while at the same token, you have state officials who are talking about, get ICE the hell out of here, and this was a murder. And how is any of that helpful? I mean, all it does is throw kerosene on the fire, gin everyone up, and then everyone is a tough guy on the internet and screams and yells at everyone, from all over the place about everything. And, then if you have the temerity to try to offer a nuanced opinion, to try to, focus, I don't know, on the legal issues as opposed to the political ones, again, you're either a right-wing Nazi, fascist, or, a left-wing radical. I mean, you can't win. But that's the climate. That's where it is today. It's crazy.
I have to tell you something, and then I will bid you adieu, Mr. Bederow, because you did give me 2 hours of your time as usual. But ain't that some shit if you can be called a right wing, right? Like, if you can be a radical right wing extremist and also a liberal kook. Okay. So I think you must be doing something right. if they're calling you both of them at the same time.
I mean, on any given day, I am like a card carrying, red hat, trucker hat wearing, MAGA, whatever. And at the same token, I'm, essentially a socialist agitator. It just depends. And it's people are just, it's so balkanized, right? Everyone is just so, and everyone has a keyboard, and you have a right to share your opinion, but everybody yelling at each other online based on a 5-minute clip of something and saying, oh, that's it, this is what happened, and it's these are strange times. They really are
strange times. All right, but we will go forth and prosper. Okay. And no weapons form shall work against me at any time. So I am going to just say, I bid you adieu. I wish our Patriots well. I know I'm feeling froggy. I think that your pick of Pats 24-21 may be the final score. And I hope I get to see you next week. And I wish you stayed. Is it snowing where you are?
It is absolutely snowing. We have full cover out there. It's still coming down. I don't know.
What are you expecting?
What's that?
How much are you expecting?
Oh, nothing. Maybe a couple inches, but no, it's yeah. You can't see my windows. If you change the angle, maybe you can see. I don't know. You could. The picture.
I can see a little bit out of that little out of this little blind right there. Oh, make you big. Sorry, hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, see, you can see the snow falling outside there. See it? There you go. Okay. You don't have. All right, you can go back to sharing the screen.
Sorry. Okay.
No, we had snow. We had some yesterday. Yesterday's snowflakes out here were huge. Big. I mean, they like really big. Dogs loved it, and one of my dogs, probably the less intelligent of the two, is sitting there like trying to eat the snow as it's falling. Yeah.
Are you talking about Winnie right now?
No, Winnie's the smart one.
Winnie, okay, because I was going to say Miss Winnie is, and Lola is smart too. She is a good Lola.
Lola's unique and special. They're both great. No, Winnie is,
Winnie is a smart and pretty girl, and Lola is fun. Okay, she's like a little bit of a she's a scatoolie. She doesn't mean anything by it, but I know that she has done she is so funny though. I love her. I love Lola.
They're the best girls. They're best friends. They love to play together. They like to lie down together. They like to create mischief together. They're great. I feel like I should have been nicer to Lola. I'm kidding. My God. She is an angel.
She is. And I'm sure she was trying to make snow angels yesterday, a little thing. Okay. But, and Kino is the smartest and most handsome boy. And we all know that. So I hope that everyone has a nice snow day. And I bid you adieu, good sir.
Yes. Okay.
Until next time.
Okay.
Bye, Mr. Bederow. Oh, lovies. He's an angel. Okay. We've got Lola, our snow angel. We have Kino, going to be a snow angel. And we have Mr. Bederow, our emotional support attorney angel. I am busy today. Are we booked? Are we busy? Yeah. 12 o'clock, the Gimberleys over at Emily C's house. It's me and Aunt Deb, our Auntie Deborah, doing a newlywed show. Why? I don't know. Because we're weirdos. And Emily likes games. So yeah, let's bring some joy. Have a little joy with us. And then tonight at 7, I am going to be over at Maz's house for a Kelsey fundraiser. Okay. In between, shall our Patriots win? Yes. We're asking who? Tiny Mary and Tiny Jesus in the Boom. In the name of the Father and of the Son, of the Holy Spirit. Thank you for joining us for Sunday service. Amen. Bye, lovies.
All right. Great job on the news.
Thank you.
We will, Courtney and I will share what happened when we went to dinner last night, Sunday dinner coming up. And as